Ziwa. Nice to be with you guys again, and welcome to Wisdom of the Grandmaster. Who knows? Today I want to talk about violence in the Western culture, because it's obviously it's a great concern for anyone who's a martial artist. Actually, it should be a concern for everybody. Cities like Toronto, the violence, the crime is just off the scales. Chicago, New York, all the major cities. And even in Canada, actually Canada, the most dangerous city in the world is Winnipeg. The most dangerous city in the country, is Winnipeg. And Winnipeg's not that big a place, right? I'm more familiar, of course, with what goes on in Canada than I am in other parts of the world because I have family there. I'm not there. And the flag behind me there should kind of show you that. But there's a reason for the violence. And my call to martial artists, and I've been doing this for a while now, is you need to prepare. Because all the things you think you know aren't going to work. It's a different game today than it used to be. Now, here in Romania, I was out, this is roughly 4:45 in the morning. I was out at about 3:30. I began it this morning with the husky walks. And I took the one you might be able to hear drinking for quite a long walk this morning. And the streets are not deserted by any means. They're very quiet, but they're not deserted. Now, I live in a town of about 14,000 people, roughly. I believe it's estimated around 13,000, but I believe it's grown since the censuses were taken quite a while ago. It's a nice little town. But like every place else in Romania, it's pretty quiet. Now, I ran into one man on the walk, and he greeted us very kindly, younger guy. And here in Romania, whether it be here where I am in Marghița, Oradea, which is about a big city about 70 kilometers away, Brașov, which is several hundred kilometers away, or Bucharest, you can walk at 3 o'clock in the morning and not have a problem. Now, here, the people would think that it might be a little bit dangerous. But that's simply because it has been a very long time since it has been dangerous. And the danger started to stop, of course, with the fall of communism in 1989. Violence on the streets in the West is a political problem. You've got to realize that if you go on social media, which I don't, I post and I leave. I have people write me, did you see my post on this? Yeah, sorry, dude, no. I'm not going to go looking for it either. I don't do social media for the same reason I don't drink out of the toilet. But you'll find, if you do it, that there is an obsession with politics. Politics is the obsession. It's the new religion, almost. Now, we've got a few things that are new religions, like the medical system has become a religion. Science is certainly a religion, right? Because it doesn't matter what kinds of lies come out of their mouths, people believe it. Back 40 years ago, I first got cable TV. And what a revolution that was, going from broadcast to cable. And I remember having a conversation with my mom. And my mom was the wisest human I've ever known, hands down. And I've known a lot of people, and a lot of really smart people. She was the wisest person I ever knew. And I put on CNN. And I remember her watching as she goes, what do they talk about 24 hours a day? The world's not that interesting. I said, I don't know, Mom. This is as new to me as it is to you. And Gandalf's howling because I'm talking. And she said to me, she says, well, you know what this is going to do? And I said, no, what? And she says, they're going to have nothing to talk about, so they're going to start making things up and lying in order to get ratings. Because that's all that matters to these people, is how many people watch. The truth has nothing to do with what they're doing. This was 40 years ago, people. I want you to think about that. Is that a prophecy, or was it just common sense? Right? everything tends to go corrupt when it is not, when there aren't checks and balances in there to make sure it doesn't. Now, when Facebook first came along, I went on it because I looked at it as an opportunity. I might be able to hook up with some people I haven't talked to in years. Of course, that's not why Facebook came about, but that was what they said. And at that point in time, it was okay. But I can remember making a post once in which I quoted Aristotle. Tolerance and apathy are the final virtues of a dying culture. Canada was a dying culture back in 2006. And many people that I at one time called friends attacked me for that. You need to be tolerant. No, I don't. There is no reason for me to be tolerant of somebody who's different than me. Now, this is where somebody comes in because they're a liberal and they go, oh, you're a racist. No. The differences are what matter. The differences are what make up the flavors of life. The differences are what are wonderful about the world. And when you try to eradicate those differences, which a political ideology does, then you destroy culture. Then you cause hatred and things like that. Politics causes hatred. Differences in colors of skin don't. Politics does. Politics is the root of all evil. I can't believe that we teach political science in school. Why? So somebody can grow up and become a professional liar? I don't get it. But you see, the problem we have and why we're talking about violence and why we're talking about this is there's a belief, especially in the United States and Canada, right? Especially there, that there's a political solution to a problem that was caused by politics, and there isn't. There is no political solution to what is going on in America. How do you fix the immigration problem in America with the violence coming across the border with immigration? Because they're violent, because they were sent there to be violent. Don't ever think your government hasn't sold you out, no matter where you live, especially in the West. Here, I could argue that the politicians are trying to do their best because they're not part of the old boys club, right? Because it's an old boys club, and they've brought these people in to destroy the country, plain and simple, and they're being paid well to destroy the country because then they can save the country and get what they want, which is absolute control. And you see that in Canada, especially with that wacko Justin Trudeau. I'm saying wacko because he is a wacko. The guy is like, I thought he was pathetic long before he was ever a politician. I couldn't believe he'd elect a drama teacher. Anyways, that just did. I'm making my own head hurt here. I'm quoting something because the leader of the opposition in Canada called him a wacko. But the problem is that while he was doing that, he also proved to the country that they're falsifying documents in Parliament in Canada. Isn't that nice? It doesn't matter to me. I'll never be back in the country again. My family wants to come and visit me. I'll pay for them to come here. I'm not going back. But anyways, when that's the creation of it, how do you change it? It is for much smarter people than me to figure it out. But the basis is shut the borders down. Don't let anybody go through them for a very long time. Close the country off. Right? And well, what about shipping? Well, you're going to have to start to check every container before it crosses the border to make sure there aren't people in it. Right? And then you enforce the laws. You don't need new laws. You need to enforce the ones that are on the books. Now, when I go out here, and there's not much going on. I can remember once, just after I moved here in 2016, it was about this time of the year, and I was coming back pretty late at night. I don't remember where I was, but I was coming back pretty late. That was around midnight. And I would cut through a park to get home. Would you guys cut through Central Park in New York at night? Yeah, I drink beer. But it's 3:30 in the morning. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, but I got up at midnight. Think about that. I work all night. I love midnights. I work all night. It's quiet. I can get things done. So I'm walking through this park, and I get stopped Right? A couple of old guys stopped me. And I mean, I'm funky looking. I'm wearing my cowboy hat. I got a different hat now. Looks like the Undertaker's hat. Cross between the Undertaker and Billy Jack. Hey, Fitz. And I get stopped, and what do these gentlemen want? They got a bottle of vodka they want to share. So I sat down with them. We had a couple of shots of the vodka, and I went home. Was it going to happen in Central Park? Why? Because the laws are enforced. When the laws are enforced and the laws are reasonable, people agree with them. And you get rid of a lot of problems. Now, Romania is a very pure culture, even though there are other cultures here, right? But they're part and parcel together. There's a lot of Hungarians in Romania because of the divisions that the country once had. I mean, geographic divisions. Because Transylvania used to be part of Hungary many, many years ago. So you've got people of Hungarian descent who are Romanian citizens. It's still all Romania, right? But they're proud of that. They're proud of that culture. They're proud of that heritage. They're proud of who they were. They're proud of what they've done. But you see, in the West, you're not supposed to be that way. Now, I spoke in Lee Militaires group about something that shocked a lot of them. Because, there's this big fight for equality in the West. And I'm sorry, you pretty much got it. You really do, because the laws state that. But that's the political agenda. They don't want to talk about that because they still want more. But the interesting thing is the most egalitarian country in the world is Denmark. And what that simply means is it is the most level playing field. Right? Men and women can get the same jobs. They can get the same rate of pay. It doesn't matter which skin color. And they're very proud of that they have accomplished that. And my kudos to them for doing that. But there's the greatest wage disparity between men and women in that country. Because when you take away all the bullshit, which is called politics, women make different choices than men. Therefore, they make less money than men because a lot of them go, hey, I want to be a mom. But you see, in the United States, it's not cool to be a mom. That's political. That's how much that ideology, right or left, it's all crap. Right or left, that's how much that has destroyed the culture, is the belief in it. And if you look historically, the fall of every civilization happens when the people become obsessed with politics. There's always the signs, and they always repeat. But see, people don't want to learn from history. Well, how do I know that? Because I like history. I want to learn from history. And some of the history you look at, you go, wow, this is a pack of lies, because it becomes evident that it is when you research it and you study it. Another thing, of course, they don't want you to do, remember the bullshit 19 stuff. You don't need to research anything. Just trust us. We're the experts. I've never met an expert. Never in my life have I met an expert. Every doctor I knew was as flawed as every plumber I knew. They weren't special. That's why you always get second opinions if you had something that was wrong. Right? Now, I've never had to go for a second opinion. I've been blessed with unbelievable health all of my life. But I know people that haven't been. Get a second opinion. Get a third opinion. Get a fifth opinion. Because, one of the things that, if you look at this expertise idea, what the third leading cause of death is in North America, right? Doctor treatment. Think about that as they're telling you they're experts. And think of the TV show House. It told you the truth. But they made it in such a way that you loved that whole profession. So, what does this all have to do with violence? Very simple. When things go off the rail and people become frustrated, they become angry, violence starts to erupt. And then when you change drug laws like they have in Canada, which in British Columbia there's no such thing as an illegal substance, guess what else you create? You create more violence. And they want to do that in Toronto too, apparently. That will go over really well. You might as well just put gasoline around Toronto and set it on fires to do that. But this is politics. This is what it's become. So what do you do? What's the point of all of this? Study and train Open your mind. And don't buy the horseshit that's going around the martial arts world that's about fitness. I'm 64 years old. I don't train very hard. I study like a maniac. I haven't done Chun Jang Kyung. It's a second-degree black belt pattern in my system. I haven't done it in 10 years. I can do it right now. I'm not going to, but I can do it right now. I remember it. And the move, you won't know that I haven't done it in 10 years. It becomes part of the mind. The patterns are there. They don't go away, right? But there's this fitness level. That is because the fitness level wants your money. I have nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying there's something wrong with that. But it goes off the rails. It becomes an obsession, right? Now, point in case, well, how long do you think you can go? Well, the other day, last week, it was a beautiful, beautiful morning. It was about 1:30 in the morning. And I was out with one of my huskies. And Alpha, she looked at me with those eyes. And I looked at her and said, "You want to run, girl?" And she took off. So her and I, me holding her leash, we ran. And we ran for quite a while. I wasn't winded. Why is that? Because I take care of myself. Everything done in moderation. And you'll be just fine. These high levels of fitness, they can't be maintained. But they do destroy the body. And that's starting to really be seen. My sister sent me some statistics about the number of deaths in the extreme fitness industry that are related to the fact that it's extreme fitness. Fascinating stuff. That'll all become mainstream. As we go along here, you train in moderation. You do everything in moderation. You live in moderation. That requires discipline. People like extremes better, right? Study everything you can get your hands on. I've got lots of great stuff. Oh, I don't need that. I know it all. I've had 2 people recently who I kicked out of I fired them. Because if we aren't like-minded, go someplace else and learn. I have no interest in talking to you. What does like-minded mean? It means you're respectful. One gentleman who's purchased a pile of stuff off of me, he writes me one day over an email I sent. He says, "Who do you think can beat me? Certainly not you." Never met the guy. So I researched him a little. He's a ring fighter. What a surprise. Why would you even think that, let alone make that statement, unless you're obsessed with violence, unless you love it? The other guy proceeded to tell me about how he's the only person in the United States qualified to teach what he teaches, and that I'm only saying I know these people or I've trained this and all that type of stuff. Well, good. Thanks for your opinion. Obviously, we have nothing to talk about because I certainly wasn't challenging him. And you're the only person qualified in the United States to teach what you know. You're a failure. You're my age, dude. You're a failure. What's going to happen when your heart stops? Everything that's in your head dies with you. You're a failure. I'm not a failure. I got a legacy here. When I go on, if it doesn't continue, it's because people decide not to. What I know is out in the wild. And it's not a kudos to me. It's the knowledge that's important. I absorb everything that I can. But people want to think they have a solution. It doesn't mean you have to be paranoid about it. I'm not. I walk the streets middle of the night all the time, every day. I'm not worried about it. And I've done this in Bucharest. Right? City of over 2 million people. I'm not worried about it. There's no problem there. And if I encounter a problem, I'm prepared. What a concept. Problem with the extreme is you overreact to situations and you try to impose your egos on the situations, and then you get into trouble. Even if you win, you still lose because now you may have a legal problem that's going to be far worse than the beating you might have taken. Right? It's complicated, I know. Anyways, as I wrap this up, chance favors the prepared mind. Make sure you are always prepared. Do I have all the answers? No, not at all. Not at all. But I got a lot of questions. And that's where it starts. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you have a fantastic week. And we will talk soon. Bye for now.